When you think of geography, you probably think of maps and mountains and landmarks. But have you ever wondered about the impact on individual animals due to changes in their physical environment? Things like pollution and deforestation are parts of geography too, and they're just as important. There are many instances of both good and bad impacts, so why don't we start with something useful? Animal crossings. No, I don't mean the one with the capitalist tanuki, I mean these, or as they're more commonly known, wildlife crossings. A study done by National Geographic in 2019 revealed that over 1 million automobile accidents involve wildlife. The study also revealed that automobile collisions kill more than 1 million animals every day, making them the leading cause of death for many vertebrate species. Roads were also cutting animals off from essential parts of their habitats. Obviously, there was a significant impact happening. Wildlife crossings are to act as alternatives to crossing busy roads, making it safer for drivers and wildlife alike. Since the implication of wildlife crossings, there has been a 90% drop in wildlife-related highway accidents in the U.S. Wildlife crossings are also used to preserve wildlife populations in areas with endangered species. Here are maps of two high-priority crossings, both of which were implemented in areas of endangered species. Both passages were costly to make, about $6.6 million each. Still, their presence has lent itself to common uses by animals of all kinds, including endangered species like mountain lions and gray foxes. Now it's time to look at negative impacts because they are just as real as the good ones. Every year, 100 million sharks are killed by illegal finning, bycatch, and raising temperature and acidity levels in the ocean's water. That is to say, let's explore the impacts on the ocean through sharks. The surface temperature on the Earth has increased by 2 degrees Fahrenheit since the pre-industrial era, and 93% of warming from greenhouse gases is absorbed by the ocean. The rising temperature of the ocean has a tremendous impact on everything, from coral to sharks. Fish will be forced away from the equator into colder climates to avoid the heat, and predators will have to follow. Along with the temperature increases, roughly a quarter of carbon emissions are absorbed by the oceans, increasing the acidity of the water. To explore this, a study was done on the effects carbon dioxide has on sharks' sense of smell. Researchers found the dogfish sharks were not attracted to the smell of squid at carbon dioxide levels that the ocean is expected to reach by 2100. At that point, sharks and many other species won't be able to hunt effectively and may starve to death. Aside from sense of smell, there were studies done on the effects of increased temperatures on sharks' brains as well. Baby sharks were incubated at temperatures predicted for the end of the century, and many of them died. The few sharks that did survive demonstrated extreme compensation for poor growth. If this happens to sharks' brains, imagine what will happen to coral and other marine life too. Many people dismiss these by saying sharks, as a species, date back to well over 450 million years old, but that is precisely why they are at risk. Because of their long-lasting presence, sharks have a prolonged evolution process, and they are being faced with very fast, very acute threats. And there is another factor at play: humans. Once again, 100 million sharks are killed every year, which estimates to 11,500 killed every hour. Humans have a tough time visualizing any amount above 100, so Joe Chervov and Rupatangi created a graphic to demonstrate the imbalance between humans and shark deaths. That is an hour in comparison to a year. A statistical report was done on shark populations, and it was found that between 6.4% and 7.9% of sharks of all species are killed annually. Only 4.9% can be killed to maintain population stability. Sharks are particularly vulnerable in that it takes them a very long time to sexually mature, and they produce very few young in their lifetime. One of the main culprits for these deaths is illegal finning. Fishermen will catch sharks and cut off their fins before throwing them back into the ocean to bleed out, suffocate, or get eaten alive. Either way, the shark dies. Because of this illegal activity, Biologists say that the 100 million sharks was actually a conservative estimate and could be up to 273 million sharks killed each year, leading to the crushing reality that over 1/3 of the open ocean sharks are threatened or near extinction because of overfishing. And the reality is that many people don't care about that. For quite some time, the fishing industry has prioritized maximum profit over the ecological distress caused by their fishing practices. Bycatch has been a huge detriment to many marine species, including sharks, and obvious solutions to these issues would pose a threat to their businesses, so no action was taken. You may be wondering now, if the oceans are in so much danger, why isn't there more effort going into saving them? Well, sharks are scary, and they kill people sometimes. Major pieces of media depict them as bloodthirsty monsters, especially towards humans. People do not want to protect what they do not see value in. However, in 2019, worldwide, there were 140 human-shark interactions. 106 of those were confirmed attacks, and only 5 were fatal. Of that 106, 41 of them were provoked, and unprovoked attacks were significantly lower that year than they had been previously, and most incidents involve surfers and other water-related sports. Sharks are not as dangerous as people think they are, and they are far more essential than people realize. All in all, as apex predators, sharks are crucial to the ocean's ecosystems. The sea is vast and beautiful and mysterious, and it should be protected so that we, as humans, can learn more about it and bask in the beauty it holds. Without intervention, countless more marine species will go extinct without ever being discovered. The whole ocean is one massive balancing act, and humans are dangerously pushing the scale. The ocean has been suffering at our hands. Media has demonized many marine species, most notably the shark, and their populations have been suffering greatly for it. So many fish have been killed for sport, so it is rare to see anything older than a juvenile. Only recently has anyone taken an interest in life cycles and survival of marine species. The only way to fix these issues is to change the general public's opinion on the oceans. Sharks are not monsters, and the sea is full of so many beautiful, intelligent, and complex creatures that have been on this earth far longer than any of us will ever be. These creatures deserve to be protected, but first they have to be loved. Please consider supporting organizations that work to protect sharks and National Geographic's Pristine Seas movement, as well as voting to enforce the ocean's protection and find more sustainable fishing practices. Reducing the demand for seafood is crucial in preserving many marine species, not just sharks. Raising awareness of the effects climate change will have on not only the oceans but the rest of the world is crucial. Changes in geography can be both positive and negative, but the negatives often far outweigh the positives, especially at the hands of humans. With active protection, all species populations will be able to begin recovering and restore balance to crumbling habitats. More attention would also hopefully be brought to the rising issue of ever-increasing temperatures and acidity of the ocean's water, and there would be even more of a push for sustainable options for many unsustainable practices, seafood and energy being among them. Humans have massive amounts of potential to help, as seen with wildlife crossings. We just need to put our minds to it. I recommend watching Trey the Explainer's video, The Shark in Jaws Did Nothing Wrong, if you're interested in learning more about the shark's social presence and their run-ins with the fishing industry. He gives a far more in-depth analysis than what I've presented here. Link in the description.